Here we go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mary Elizabeth's Variety Hour.
Hello, this is the second half.
Second half, yes.
Even better than the first.
Yeah.
We don't know how that's going to turn out, but it'll turn out.
Yes.
This is a weird place to film. I think we're in the Twilight Zone. First time I think you're in the shadows now, and I'm now. You can see what I look like. I think they'd rather look at you though. But anyway, you can actually see my haircut a little bit. I got a new haircut, and everyone seems to like it. I don't like it as much as it seems like everyone else likes it. Maybe this is the way I should do it. The vampire look.
Yeah.
I usually comb it from the side like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But then I look like Donald Trump. I'd like to have his money,
Yeah. That would be nice.
but don't want to have all his troubles. Oh, Donald Trump. He's sort of in the news right now.
Yeah.
He's going to be. He's here. Here we go again. He's back again.
Yeah.
He's returned from the dead. Yeah. So Donald Trump is going to be the president again.
Yeah.
This hasn't happened since Grover Cleveland.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this, and I guess he says the first day he's going to close the border. So he's not talking about Taco Bell. He's always eating at the fast food places. Make a run for the border. That's Taco Bell. Now, gosh, let me tell you something. I'm looking at all the people he's picking for his cabinet posts and everything, and it's almost like it's almost like The Simpsons. Everyone is some character. There's a guy from Fox News. There's Judge Judy. There's Dr. Oz. There's everyone. There's a billionaire. There's a millionaire. There's the richest man in the world. I heard someone talk about Elon Musk. He said that he was the. It was actually Chris Rock. He said that he helps out all races. Donald Trump. He has picked the richest African American in the world. Elon Musk. Say, oh yeah, he is from Africa. I didn't realize that. Yeah. And so anyway, so I listen. Whatever you think about the president, the America goes on. The United States of America goes on. The Constitution goes on. Elections do matter when their side wins. Evidently, they seem to have no problem with that. Not when their side loses. But anyway, so they're going to. We're all in this. Like I said, here it is again. He won decisively this time, and we're all in this together. So we just gotta pull together and be happy. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a governor race later this year in Virginia. So we'll get what's his name? Abigail, I think, is running, and yeah, and I think the woman Winnie, and Winnie, the woman, I think she's for the Republic. So we may have our first woman governor if both parties get a woman as their nominee.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Yay.
Yeah, my dad used to say that women would make better leaders than men. They would be very more compassionate and very more wary and risky, and said that but we've had women, and I would say we had women leaders, Indira Gandhi and Golda Meir and Angela Merkel and Maggie Thatcher.
Yeah.
And my dad said, yeah, but those women just act like men. They have to act tough like men, maybe even tougher than men to act to get the. But if all the leaders were women, things would be better. I said, well, I hope so. We'll figure that out. It's always, when I was a kid, didn't want any women politicians. Now, gosh, I've had so many. I've had so many women supervisors. I've had certainly women teachers and professors. So I guess, yeah. My niece Brooke, when she was little, she used to complain when she was watching Jeopardy when a woman didn't win. Oh, I was watching Jeopardy last night. It was a Celebrity Jeopardy, and the smartest guy probably on television, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, he lost. He lost to some woman on a soap opera, I think.
I used to think when I was a kid on The Price is Right,
Yeah,
like every time African American person
yeah,
or another pitiful person,
yeah.
I always think that they wish they would have won instead of the other people.
Yes. Oh, you were rooting for the.
Yeah,
You were rooting for the under. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
I was that way too. I I remember when Pat Buchanan, which is probably one of the most hateful people ever to run for president, when he got the nominee for the American Independent Party or something, he picked a black woman as his running mate, a woman, conservative like him,
yeah,
but a black woman. And I thought, well, that's good. I like that. I mean, he could have picked another boring, dull white man like himself,
yeah,
but he picked a black woman, and in fact, um, I was told that the Democrats in the future for the presidential election, they'll probably never pick two white men as to run for president again. There'll always be maybe a white man and a black woman, or a white woman, or a black man, or a Latino man, or an Indian man, or something, Chinese man. The Republicans, on the other hand, two white men are fine. I don't think they've ever picked a woman or I think it's always been two white men. Mike Pence, Mike Pence, and Dan Quayle ran for vice president in their day, and
yeah.
they were so white they were almost clear. You almost see right through them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's and what was I gonna say? Yeah, so yeah, I was watching Jeopardy last night, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was he got all the science questions and all the questions about the planets right
Yeah.
and stars right, but then when they asked him a question like, what was the latest hit by Adele? And of course, the two women on there, they knew. And
Yeah.
then I got kind of mad. Oh, I feel just like him.
Yeah.
You know, you know.
Like the pitiful and sad one.
Well, I think there's a very funny skit on Monty Python where there's like a game show with all these intellectuals on it. They're all like philosophers, and they're all like professors, and they're all asking them like sports trivia. who was the who was the leading goal scorer for Manchester United in 1942? And all those questions are that way. And then there was a similar thing on SCTV where I think a bunch of like a Hollywood Squares type show where they just asked simple questions, and they were asking them all these questions about opera and about astrophysics and stuff. And I remember Eugene Levy was very funny on that as Bobby Bittman or something. Yeah. And so let's see. I went to the movies. I still go to the movies all the time. I saw that movie with the woman, the boxer, the woman boxer. She was only a teenager and she won the gold medal.
Oh yeah.
And then the movie is. You think the movie is over, and then there's a whole other hour left of the movie, and you realize she has to go back to probably the poorest city in America, Flint, Michigan, and she can't get. She's actually, selling her autograph at bowling alleys and stuff, and she just can't make a go of it. And she has this awful family life, and it's a rough, but it's a very good movie. Barry Jenkins, who made Moonlight, made this film, and I didn't recognize any of the actors in it, but they were. It was very good. It was called The Fire Inside, and I was saying how women politicians, stuff like that. Women's sports is kind of neglected. In fact, I don't think most people even knew about women's. I know Olympic sports, but tennis. It wasn't until Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs were in the match together. Then there was a lot of great female athletes in the Olympics, Thea Gibson and Babe Didrikson and people like that. But then I find out I really didn't know a lot about women's boxing, and especially amateur Olympian women's boxing. and this woman is just great. You know, well, you know the. So anyway, I saw that movie. I then there was a movie about Bob Dylan that's so good, and and let me tell you about the Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown. Timothy Chalamet is in it, and what's kind of neat about that, you know, there's a lot of songs being played in that movie. They should have had the lyrics up on the screen so you could sing along to all these
Yeah, I
songs.
know.
Yeah. I saw a movie years ago called well, there's a couple of movies like that. Walk the Line about Johnny
Oh
Cash,
yeah.
and then there's a movie called uh, 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 I Saw the Light, and it
Oh.
had Hiddleston, the guy who played Tom Hiddleston, and he's in all the Marvel films. Loki, I think he plays in the Thor movies, and he played an English actor. He played Hank Williams. And the songs in this movie are just so good. Like I said, they should have put the lyrics. I mean, you can't help but sing along to all these
I
songs in
know.
this thing. So I'm in a Bob Dylan stage right now. So this is the close. This is a recent
I have some
album.
Bob Dylan.
You have some Bob
Yeah,
Dylan?
they're really good.
Okay, well that's what he looks like. If for the 2 or 3 people who don't know what he looks like, this is what he looks like. Okay, now tell us about your Bob Dylan albums.
Bob Dylan's greatest hits.
Yeah, that's a
And
good album. Yeah.
I think that's all I have. I got two Bob Dylan greatest hits.
Yes, I first heard of Bob Dylan certainly when I was in high school. You didn't really hear him on the radio very much, but then if you actually paid attention on like FM radio, you would hear songs he recorded in the 1960s. He had that he sang that folk music,
Yeah.
which to us might as well have been country music. And but
He sang with Joan Baez too.
yeah, he sings with Joan Baez, and
And I think that was his girlfriend one
his
time.
girlfriend, yeah, and he is a Bob Dylan. I actually saw Bob Dylan once at King's Dominion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he wasn't riding on the roller coaster. Hey, can you stop? Can you stop this roller coaster? So anyway, I don't know, man. Anyway, he played. They used to have bands play at King's Dominion, and it was two guitars and a drummer. I don't know who the drummer was. The guitar guy was G. Smith. He used to be on the Saturday Night Live band. That guy looked like James Cagney with long hair
Yeah.
and playing really hard. He was the other guitarist, but Bob did all the singing
Yeah.
and singing.
I
Well,
thought
I couldn't even tell what he was singing half the time. I mean, really, and like maybe at the end of the song, oh, I think I know that song.
I thought lately.
Lay, lady, lay. To be honest with you, I don't even know what he was saying. It was just kind of fun to see him, but I really prefer him on record. But you know, Bob Dylan is just so good. Yeah, I always joke he's probably the greatest Jewish songwriter of all time. My dad didn't know who he was. He said who he was on a Super Bowl commercial. I said, "Oh, look who they got on the Super Bowl commercial for Chrysler." And he goes, "Who's that?" My dad didn't know anything about rock and roll. You don't know who that is? I said, "That's the greatest Jewish songwriter of all time." Before he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, he did not even show up for that. I think he sent someone. I think he was there, but he was in the audience and let someone else give the speech. Maybe it was Joan Baez. I don't know who it was. But he did show up for a few award shows. He showed up, of course, for the Kennedy Center honors because you have to show up for that. He's what can I tell you about Bob Dylan? There's so much I could tell you about Bob Dylan. I just found this last week. You know that show Pawn Stars? Those where people bring stuff to be
Oh
pawned on the History
yeah. Oh
Channel.
yeah.
A guy, it's very funny. You got to see this. A guy brings a Bob Dylan album, a rare Bob Dylan album. I think it's called Self Portrait,
Wow.
and he sings covers on there. It was made, I think, in the late '60s. Not a whole. I don't think there was a lot of demand for it, but it was kind of a rare album, and just by coincidence, I don't know how coincidence, he happens to be in Las Vegas where the show takes place, doing a show, and so he sends one of the guys out to get him to autograph this this album so they could sell it for more. And you got to see what happens. It's on. You can
Yeah.
find it on YouTube. It's pretty cool. Chumley is the guy. If you know who Chumley is,
Yeah.
you know kind of what may happen, what transposes. But it's very good. And what else can I tell you? I said the greatest ever Super Bowl ad was for Chrysler. It was with Bob Dylan. I think he was doing like what Frank Sinatra did when I think it was Chrysler and Lee Iacocca did free ads for Chrysler. So just to because I think they weren't the American car companies are probably the most important industry, and yet it's always trouble because of all the foreign influence. You know,
Yeah.
Japanese cars, German cars, cars from all over really, Rolls Royces, all those.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan also had something else about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan made his acting debut. He's acted a few times in shows. He's on the show. Was it Dharma and Greg? He makes an appearance on there. Only I think as a favor to the woman's uncle, uh, the guy from Oingo Boingo. Yeah, and a friend of his. Bob Dylan did a Victoria's Secret ad once. Bob Dylan. What's got to tell you about Bob Dylan? Uh, and also Bob Dylan. Every once in a while, every year, not every year, but many years, he has showed up at that Shabbat um, uh, uh, telethon in Los Angeles for the Shabbat Jewish charity, and a lot of celebrities come to that, and he was on there and he sang Ava Nakila, and you can find that on YouTube too. It's kind of cool. He doesn't sing it actually; he just plays the harmonica while his son-in-law Peter Hillman sings, and also my friend Harry Dean Stanton is there too.
I know Bob Dylan had a son who was in this group called Smashing Pumpkins.
Billy Corgan.
Something Dylan. I think it was
Yeah.
Matthew Dillon or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, his son is in there. His
Yeah.
son had a band, Jacob Dylan. It was called the.
Yeah, I think that was the one I was talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay. Yeah. What it was. But
Was it
Jacob was his
Smashing
name.
Pumpkins or
Yeah.
something like that?
They had some hits. Yeah. And trouble is when you're the son of someone famous, and this I've heard this from people who had famous fathers.
Yeah.
They said that whenever you walk in somewhere, everyone thinks, "Oh, you must be talented like him, you must be as good as the old man or something."
Yeah.
Guess what? He said the opposite is true. When you walk in to a audition and your father's someone famous like Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
they think you have absolutely no talent at all. You're like George W. Bush to them. They think you're Hank Williams Jr. Well, those people turned out all right, I guess. They superseded their fathers.
Yeah.
So which brings me to this guy, Artie Shaw.
Oh yeah.
Now, Artie Shaw, you let me give you a little background on Artie Shaw. Artie Shaw was a famous band leader in the 1930s and 40s. He was the first white band to have a black female singer, and that was Billie Holiday. Not for a
Yeah.
long time, but for a short time. She was before she went on her own. She was with the Artie Shaw band. Now, what you have to do is now his music is great. He performs. He was a clarinetist, and he led these bands. And Begin to Begin was probably their biggest hit. Frenzy,
Yeah.
a lot of hits. Some songs with that he performed with Billie Holiday were great.
Begin to begin.
When they begin the begin, the bring back the song of tropical splendor. The tropical splendor. When they begin the begin. No, I'm such a lousy dancer. I ended the begin. Anyway, begin to begin. Let me. Cole Porter wrote it. It was from a musical, and the musical was a flop in the day. I don't. but the songs are good. They're all written by Cole Porter, and he took the one song that he liked, "Begin the Begin," and made a hit out of it. And so Artie Shaw. Okay, now here, let me tell you something else about Artie Shaw. Artie Shaw was married 9 times.
Wow.
And one of his wives was a famous actress, Ava Gardner, who was also married to Frank Sinatra, and she was first married to Mickey Rooney. I think she married Mickey first, and then somewhere along the line, Artie Shaw, and then she married Frank Sinatra in the late 40s or so. And whenever you hear about Frank and his great wives, they always mention Ava Gardner was the love of his life. He also, and then there was Mia Farrow, who's still around, and who's for all those Woody Allen movies and stuff. So, and Rosemary's Baby. Anyway, so Ava Gardner, he was married to Ava Gardner. I don't know if the other 8, uh, uh, but from what I've heard personally about Artie Shaw, he's a very difficult guy in real life. He died, I think, in the early 2000s, and he was still active. He was still available for interviews in his 80s. And you go on YouTube and find these interviews. They're long interviews, like half hour, and he talks about everything. And he talks about he did something really strange when in the 1950s, when he had no more performing to do, no more new stuff to do. He retired. He stopped. He would make appearances and maybe do like a appearance on television, but for most of the time he just allowed himself to be interviewed. And he tried to do like bebop and tried to do new jazz stuff. But he was saying how jazz up until the 1950s, I guess bebop, he felt it was over. Pretty much by 1960, it was over with Ornette Coleman and the free jazz. It was just 40 minutes of just improvisation on two sides of an LP. And Ornette Coleman, he said, and I think even Miles Davis said, jazz is dead now. This is as far as it can go. And he kind of maybe 5 years earlier figured that out in 1955, right about the time rock and roll started making inroads. He said that he you hear him talk about stuff. And he was talking about how he once said to Mel Torme, it's a good thing you never had a hit record. Because what do you mean it's a good thing I never had a hit record? He goes, yeah, now every time you go out, people are happy to hear you and you don't get bored doing your music. And he says, and every time you, like, for example, if you sang like a song like Begin to Begin, you could sing it a different way every time and be experimental. Sort of like Bob Dylan is experimental every time Bob Dylan was famous for performing his songs a different way every time you heard it, to the point where you couldn't even understand what he was performing. Artie Shaw felt, oh gosh, they want to hear Begin to Begin again, my hit, and they want to hear it the same way I've always done it. I'll give the people what they want. Then after a while, he got sick of it, so he stopped doing it. And when I said he stopped, he would actually. I think before that, before he actually retired, he was actually declaring, "I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it." And then people would start booing him and everything, and he'd have to walk off the stage and stuff. Same with Bob Dylan. And and when he put on the electric guitar at the Newport Folk Festival. Anyway, but check out this guy. And he never shuts up. He's in his late 80s. He was, I think, from the Bronx, New York, Jewish guy, or another Jewish guy, Arthur Shanovsky or something was his real name, but the Artie Shaw, he was called himself. And he was something else. The last time I think I saw him, he might have been dead already, but he was interviewed for new interviews at the time for that jazz miniseries that Ken Burns made, and that was just, God, that was 15 hours of pure pleasure. That jazz show, because I love jazz music. And and then I love Artie Shaw too. What else is on here? Can you read that? I can't read that without putting my glasses on. This is your future, kids. Yeah. Oh yeah, Indian Love Call is a by I think by Rimsky Korsakov.
Also Moonglow too.
Moonglow, Begin to Be. What is this thing called Love? All these songs are great. Temptation, Stardust, of course. Moonglow. Yeah, I don't think I think this is all instrumentals. He was with RCA for many years. And I think he famously, I think he did a song called Frenzy, which I think later became no Nightmare was his theme song, and then he did Frenzy, and then what happened was he says it in the interview I saw of him. He they had to put something on the B side, so they put begin the beginning, and then more people were listening to the flip side. People would do that. Remember the flip side of 45s? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd always play the flip side after I played the first. When I bought the 45, I would play the song that I bought, and then I'd flip it to the other side, see if it was good on the other side. And if it wasn't, I never played it again. But if it was, oh, it might be a good song.
Yeah.
So so yeah, a lot of times, like I think in like Bruce Springsteen albums and stuff, the B sides weren't even on the album, so you had to buy the 45s to get to be a completist for all that stuff and
Yeah.
everything. So I don't, I talked about Paul Williams last time I was here. I have no concerts of famous people coming up.
Yeah.
I've seen them all.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to listen to records.
Yeah.
Listen to my LP collection.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
you have an LP collection.
I do, yeah.
Yes, you actually presented. You should have your own like show. Like what? Oh, you actually you do have your own show. This is the show. I was trying to think. Oh, you could have a second show. No, this is the show.
Yeah.
Where you played the music. Yeah, you could be a DJ. When I started, one last thing about being a DJ. When I started out being a DJ, I thought, when you watch movies or TV shows like Wolfman Jack and stuff, and DJs, you always see them talking and saying all these profound things and everything. And then your station manager, as soon as you start doing that, is say, "Hey, the people just want to hear the music. They don't want to hear you ramble on, on and on." But then talk radio became popular, and then rambling on is we don't need music anymore. Just ramble on. So there you go. Anyway, wow, it's a cold day. It's a cold day in January,
Yeah.
but I always joke it's the second longest month of the year, February, although it only has 28 days.
Yeah.
Seems like it goes on forever.
Yeah.
But thank you for making my January happy, and thank you so much for that little badge you got for
Yeah,
me.
I'm
That's
enjoying it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
enjoy everything you do for me and everything and how wonderful you are. So thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth. Oh, by the way, I met a woman at the YMCA, a very nice woman, and I didn't know her name. I said, "What's your name?" She goes, "Mary Beth." And I said, "Mary Beth, how can I, I hate to forget people's names. How do I remember that? Oh, Mary Elizabeth. When I meet this woman, I'll just think of the wonderful Mary Elizabeth and just take out the Eliza. I'll say, Mary Beth. Just quietly say a little. But there you go. But thank you, Mary Elizabeth.
Well, I just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in.
My name is Kaye Lazar. Thank you so much.
May God bless you. Take care.